Yes, people, we are live. Albert Talks podcast, weekly surgery in Southeast London. But before we get into it, people, let's hit the intro. Yes, people, we are live, like I said before the intro. Albert's Talk podcast is back again, but with a tiny bit of a different segment. Weekly surgery in the Albert JTV practice. We will obviously talk about Arsenal at some point. Otherwise, why would be on here really? But bit of a different show. It's been a long time coming, people. Time, life, people got things to do. But I've got the brothers on this. I've got the brothers on the live stream today, so I'm happy about that. People, smash the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel, and obviously follow my esteemed guests, who I'm going to introduce just very, very shortly. So I'm going to start with youthful exuberance. I call him the Fresh Prince of YouTube. Guna Souls, welcome back, brother.
I didn't know where that was going, to be honest. No, I'm all good, man. Obviously, good to get the show started. Been speaking about it all summer. So, this is obviously episode 1. When the season started, obviously.
Yeah, of course, man. But no, and now I'm going to introduce my second brother. He actually, Souls came up with this, but I'm going to steal it anyway. The Prince of YouTube, Mr. RJ Wills is back. Welcome back, bro.
What's popping, bros?
That's not bad, man. Another day. Happy Thursday to all of you. One more day, one Friday, then the weekend we're here. And of course, this guy needs no introduction. He's been renamed Pastor Kesh, the king of YouTube. Welcome back, Kesh, brother.
What's up, them boys? Good to be back, man. Good to be back.
Nah, it's good to see you, man. I know you wasn't feeling too well, but you're back full to health. And glad to get you back on, man. It's been too long, Kesh. Way too long. But glad to get you on. But yeah, weekly surgery number 1. I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna kick off with something a little bit different. So I'm gonna kick in a little intro, and then I'm gonna bring in my esteemed guests. But people, before I do that, follow my guys on their Twitter handles that are in the screen, and obviously, as your host, Albert JTV, my Instagram and Twitter are in the overlay above my right shoulder as you look at it right now. But people, we're gonna get into our first topic of the weekly surgery after this little intro. And there you have it, people. Player watch. I've given my guests a little brief and what's gonna come, but give them a little bit of time to think about it. But yeah, my guys will give their opinion on players who they're looking forward to seeing play, or who sort of impressed them in a few weeks. There might be some bad points about certain players. I even don't even know really personally, but actually I'm going to kick off with my boy RJ. And we're going to get your player you're going to talk about. Actually, I don't know what you're going to say about this particular person, but I'm very interested to hear it anyway. Where has he gone now? And Mr. RJ is going to talk about this young man, Ivan Toney. RJ, all I will say to you is, say what you got to say, my brother.
Well, I mean, if we could go back to the championship, his stats were outstanding. And personally, I haven't seen no stats like this from a striker in a very, very long time. And I was always kind of interested in seeing what was going to happen to him in the summer. No one really made the move for him. I guess everybody kind of wanted to kind of just keep their foot on the ground, see how he does in the Premier League. And, I think that's very wise. I'm obviously going to have to bring up that painful first game of ours. And
Yeah.
I felt he done very well in that game, even though he wasn't the shining star of that game, in my personal opinion. I think he's definitely someone to look out for. And even recently, there were comments of him kind of slamming Arsenal, which I
Yes.
mean, everybody seems to be doing it. It just seems to be the normal thing now. But
Yeah.
is he? It gives me the question: is it someone we should be looking at? You
Mm.
know, later on, should we actually put? You know what I mean? Should we be interested in like that because our current situation with our strikers and what's going to happen in the summer? But me personally, he's someone I really want to watch. I like the way he moves off the ball. I like the way he commands himself, and he looks like a very good player for me. But I feel like someone we can really try and bring into the Arsenal
Yeah.
squad. I feel like we're missing that type of player, but that's just my personal opinion, really.
No, good. No, RJ, good stuff, man. Good shout. No, like I said, this is not a secret that he was. I don't know how true the rumors were with the Arsenal links, but no, it's a good shout with Tony. He's coming for a good rep. He's obviously got off the mark in the Premier League, which is the main key thing. Because the more the games go by, you're not scoring. People question whether you cut in the Premier League. That's been said about many a striker, but. No, well, so I'm gonna get the thoughts of my other two guests in terms of Souls and Kesh. Kesh, any thoughts on what Ryan said in terms of his player watch? What's your opinion, bro?
He's been impressive in his championship season.
Yeah.
As Ryan said, it's been a long time since you've seen a striker down in the championship go on and perform like that. I think he's come of age. I got friends who are very close to him.
Yeah.
When he was at Newcastle and everything, and then he dropped off a bit, had to go to the lower leagues and work his way up. He's got the basic fundamentals. I think you have to keep an eye on him over the course of the season to see if he can actually step up another level and come to a team like Arsenal. But yeah, I'm impressed with him. The way he commands that final third, gets into the defenders' faces and things like that. I think it's a good sign for things to come.
No, good shout. I'm gonna ask you guys a general question about him, but I'm gonna come to Souls. Sort of, do you want to add anything further to what Kesh and Ryan have brilliantly highlighted so far about Tony?
I think my only reservation is just, can he do it in the Premier League? Obviously, we know the Championship is a physical league, and it's always a good starting point to see if a player can actually step up. It's a lot more physical, in my opinion, than the Premier League. But the one thing you don't get is time and space in, obviously, when you make that step up. And that's, for me, can he do it? He's got all the components. He's got the pace. He seems to be a very physical striker. He does fit that mold of he's an Aubameyang Lacazette merger, which is what we want to see, which is kind of what we're looking for in terms of moving forward. So it's just about, let's see what he does this season, and then obviously we can, and that, I think that's the good thing with him, pull the trigger, because I still think his price will be relatively similar, even if he has a good season in the Premier League. So, no, he is a good one to watch.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it back at RJ because I'm going to get both your thoughts, Kesh and Stolzy. But yeah, in terms of when he played against Arsenal, you know what? For the first time, I probably saw why he doesn't. Obviously, he scores a lot of goals, but I can see why he gets a lot of assists as well. Was that in terms of that performance against Arsenal in particular? Is that something you're used to seeing playing in a more withdrawn role, or was you surprised by what you saw in terms of that performance, Ryan? I think he's frozen. No, he's there. You there, RJ? You there?
I'm sorry, it was breaking up. What did you say?
Yeah, let me. I was saying to you. Yeah, I can hear you, man. I was saying in terms of his performance against Arsenal,
Okay.
I can see why he scored a lot of goals and why he's got a lot of assists as well. Did his performance is that typical of what you've seen in his career so far, or did you see something a little bit different in that game against Arsenal?
I think it was, to me, it was a little bit typical. And I think when you look at our situation as well, in the way we lined up, and our squad was kind of, I want to say weak, but it kind of was easy for him at the same time. So I think it was kind of same old. So this is why I'm kind of like, all right, we was in a bad situation, but let's see how he does throughout the rest of the season. So I want to see more. Hopefully he takes his chances against other top teams. you know, that's like top 6 level or even, you know, mid-table. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think for me, yeah, so far so good. But you know,
Yeah. Time will tell it. There's a lot more games to come this season, man. Time will tell. But yeah, quickly, Kesh, any thoughts on that in terms of your performance against Arsenal? No surprises, or was you quite pleasantly surprised?
I think I wasn't surprised because listen, their team that just came off the back of a convincing league campaign, got promoted, playing against the Arsenal. Like they're playing against big Arsenal. You know what I mean? So the players are going to be up for it. I doubt the manager really had to tell them much to convince them to go out there and perform. I think us not having a strong spine, like I know I don't really class Abanian and that as leaders, but they are the senior figures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want them out there in those games. I know people will look at the squad and think that squad is still good enough to beat them. I do agree with that, but we just lacked the senior figures to kind of like get us together, you know, and have a bit of cohesion in the team. But no, I'm no surprise at all. But I think they just need to kind of like get Tony his first goal. Then you can probably see a more convincing Brentford team because they've got good players in that team. A lot of people was writing them off saying they'll get relegated. I think they can stay up once he gets going.
Yeah, Canos, Mbomo. Forgot the other guy's name. It's gonna not Norgard. It's someone else. I can't remember his name. It's gone out of my head. No, it's gone. It's completely gone. They got the other winger as well on the other side. I forgot his name. God, it's gone. It's gone out of my head. Souls might remember, but no. Souls, any thoughts to add to that, mate? In terms of Tony's performance against? That's it.
It's just like he's a multi-dimensional striker in a way that he can allow people into the play by holding up. He's a physical striker, but then he's also got that pace as well to go in behind. So it's not really surprising. You can change it up a bit depending on the situation that you're playing in, and that's a good luxury to have when you've got a player you can put into a situation and without making a substitution, all he needs to do is change his style of play, and he can do that very effectively. And that's what we've seen is a second part of Tony that yes, he's a goal scorer, but this is also what he can do.
Yeah.
So that's all we've seen. And well, I know people are going to say, is it typical? That's okay, fair enough. You didn't see the goal, but you've seen what he can do to influence a game when he can't score or he can't get into those situations. Because we've seen it, both their wingers were going in behind and he allowed them to, by holding up the play. It's similar to what Lacazette does. Lacazette comes deeper, comes into more of a centre forward position, more of a playmaker to allow the wingers to get the goals instead of the actual striker. And that's something which he can do whilst also implementing a goal threat as well. And because you know he can score headers, he can score volleys, he can take a long shot, or he can make the run into the box, he draws players out, allowing your other players to make space. And that's all we've seen. And that's something which, when you watch his game, you'll see that he's got two sides to his game, and we've seen one of them against us. And then I think it was, did they play Watford or something when he got his first goal? That's when we've seen the goal scoring Tony. So, yeah.
No, good shout. People, anybody that's joined the stream late, I'm just asking the guys in terms of picking let me get on the screen, picking one non-Arsenal player so far this season that has impressed you, or who you like the look of, and why is the reason for that. Kesh, I'm going to come to you after.
So he's got his first goal already, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes, he has.
I wasn't aware of that.
He's got one, but I can't remember who he scored against.
It might have been Watford. You might be right. Might be right. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Kesh, before I'm going to come to you with your player, hopefully you've been listening to my message I've sent you. But Souls, we're going to go to Guna Souls' person, and let's get him on the screen. Souls wants to talk about this young man.
Yeah, this is my dream signing. Where can you start? You know, look at his campaign when it started against Burnley. I think it was 100% pass accuracy, 100% long passes. He had the most ground covered for any player in terms of in his own half and the opposition half as well. The most interception, the most tackles. And then when he moved into the Everton game, it was not Everton, sorry, it was even against Brentford as well. He had like similar stats where he covered the most ground. He had the most interceptions in the game, the most tackles in the game. And I think he had the most advanced passes as well going forward. So when you start to look at this and you look at him as a lone DM as well, it's exactly what Arsenal are screaming out for. And he's a player that I've been touting to get into this club, because when you look at a Thomas Partey, how do you get the best out of him? You put him next to someone like a Bruno Gomes, or how you say, or a Basuma, or you can even go down a very younger route and go get Kamara instead from, I think it's Marseille. There's many options that you can get, but for me, if you're looking in Premier League, or if you want a Premier League proven, Basuma's your guy. And the thing is, when we also look at it, January is an option. You can go get him in, because his contract ends in 2023. You're looking at Liverpool. It's been reported that even he goes to Liverpool to get the Arsenal move. So clearly he wants to move to the Emirates. And when you look at it, if he's got till 2023, the chances are Brighton may let him go for a fee of like 20 to 25 instead of 40 million or 35 million, which was what they wanted this summer. He'll be on the last year of his contract. Obviously, you've got AFCON to consider, so it could be a late January signing, or you could be seeing him coming in the summer. But because of how light we are in midfield, one or two injuries could force their hand to go get him in January. So that's why I'm confident. And even when you look at the strategy that Arsenal have implemented under 23s, yes, he's 24, but he's only just turned 24. So it still kind of comes into that bracket of looking at under 23 signings or younger signings. But then also, we've been told that there's going to be two marquee signings coming in, whether it's in January or whether it be in the summer, being a midfielder and a striker. And what better signings to bring in than someone like a Basuma coming in?
Amen to that. Also, remember, just before I come to Kesh, yes, I'll put this on my IGTV later on Instagram, and also to hear my dulcet tones. This will go on Spotify and Anchor. So let me come to Kesh. Kesh, what's your thoughts, my friend, on Yves Basuma and Sol's choice?
Well, as you all know, I'm not a big Xhaka fan. I felt.
Are you joking, Kesh?
I felt we needed a bit more of a dynamic midfielders, like going back to the days where we had the likes of Vieira and Gilberto Silva, both good in the transition, whether that's defensive transition or attacking transition. 100%. Just players who are very mobile and very complete in both sides of the game. And I feel Yves Basuma gives you that. I don't think he's as defensive as a lot of people try and claim he is.
Yes.
When if you watch him versus Lille in a different system, he was one of the players who gets on the ball a lot of the times and play those final balls through in the final third. Sometimes you see him doing box to box. So I believe he's got it all in his lockout to go and play different roles in midfield. I think him and Partey will be a very good combination. They can bounce off each other. So it would have been perfect sense. But as I said, I understand the complications of not actually being able to get out the players, the deadwoods that we wanted to give ourselves a bigger budget to work with.
Yeah.
So I understand it. But as Sol said, the club's looking, or the rumours are coming out that we're looking to get a centre mid and a striker. And they might potentially accelerate it to January rather than waiting until summer. So, yeah, if we can go back in for him and get him, then why not?
Yeah, 100% facts from Souls and Kesh, man. RJ, before I come to you, I'm going to put my little 2 pennies worth in, but I'll let most of you guys do the talking because I've got my brothers on one stage at one time. So that's what I've wanted for a long time. But yeah, Basuma, actually, me and Ryan was on another channel, Watch Along, when we played Brighton. I think it's 3 days after Boxing Day last season. And I watched that. We won the game 1-0, but I thought he was outstanding. And it was clear. And I thought that was for me. I thought I'd seen games where he played well, Basuma, but I thought I watched that game against Arsenal last season. I said, you know what? We need to get this guy. It's not a case of if or should we contemplate it or think about it. It's bleeding obvious. And it makes me laugh with and I like to use the key word you guys know when I talk about Arsenal fans, sections of the fan base. Sections, people. Not all of you. Before you come into chat and start complaining, sections of the fan base. They're very delayed in their sort of attitude towards players that linked with Arsenal. So you see the little highlights reel in the game Basuma got. I can't remember. There's a home game. It's a home game. Might have been against Brentford. I'm not sure. Or Watford. I can't remember. and he was absolutely flawless. Now Arsenal fans are on board. Why is it taking you so long to see this? What have you been watching for 2.5 years? I don't understand. And what shocked me before I come to RJ, I'm going to bring you in, my bro. Off the back of it is, I've asked certain people, YouTubers, what's your reservations about Basuma? I'm going to let you come in, RJ, with that.
Oh man, I mean, talk about stubbing noses up. I mean,
Yeah,
are we in any
yeah.
position for that? You know,
No.
I've always said this. If you look at some of our legends, they've come from lower sides or sides that are not as high a standards as
Well
Arsenal.
said.
But
Even
I don't know,
managers,
we're in a
bro.
different generation. Sorry?
Even managers as well. George Graham, Millwall.
Well, there you go. Well, there
Yeah.
you go. But Basuma, listen, I've been raving about this guy for a very long time.
Yeah.
If you notice, even in previous matches against us, he's always been a problem. He's always been a thorn on our side.
Yeah.
We could go back to the lot. Remember that game against Brighton 1-1?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Forget the whole him laughing and all that jazz. That was taken out of context, as we all know. We watched the game. But he was on it that whole
Yeah.
game. He was on it. I remember watching that. I remember watching it with my cousin. My cousin was like, "Right, this Basuma guy looks proper." I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to keep my eye on him. And literally every game I've seen him against us, he's been a thorn in us.
Been brilliant.
Even the
Been
last
brilliant.
day of the season, he was their best player against us. I mean, for me, I've always said this about Lokonga. I don't want to burn him out because we're used to burning out young, talented
He's strong
individuals.
talent. Yeah.
I mean, if we get Basuma in, Lokonga could just ease up, rest, and play the occasional game because we know Sambi's got talent, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But we don't want to burn him out. Basuma party, like Kev said, that's a dream for me,
Oh,
100%. But we know Arsenal, they don't make
yeah.
a lot of things sense. They never make anything sense. But that's my opinion, man. Yeah,
Basically,
that's it.
it does. No, big up to you guys, man. Yeah, Sol's good choice, man. Basuma, honestly, like it's just, to me, it's just a no-brainer. And I just, you know what? I just question what the question I question Arsenal fans is, what are the reservations? Like I generally don't understand what would be the cons inside of the player.
I bet you they'll say he doesn't score goals. I bet you anything that's what they say.
Well, that's just ridiculous.
You can score
Yeah,
goals.
yeah. They'll say something stupid like, "Oh, what does it like the Ben White situation?" Oh, we'll get into it later.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Before you know what, before I move on to Kesh, you want to go with your player next? I'm gonna come after. I'm gonna get it after this comment. Shane, I love you for bringing this question up because I've made this my feelings
This is
clear
the other
on
one.
it. Right. So actually, I'm gonna say my piece. I'm gonna quickly bring in Kesha back, Edward, and then we'll find out your player you've sort of been impressed with. I said this on my Q&A about 2 weeks ago now. Shane, big up to you in the chat, man. I don't want to see any Arsenal fan. I want Edward to go to Palace and absolutely rip it up. But but to back that up even more, I don't want to hear any Arsenal fan turn around and say we should have got him. Because all I heard, Kesh, right, to bring you in off the back of this is the whole Scottish League thing's a myth for me because the amount of players in the last 15, 20 years that have come over from north of the border to England, they've been exceptional. So that to me is complete nonsense. Oh, Alfredo Morelos is better than him. Albert, I've got mates that support Celtic and they say he's not that good. And I'm like, okay. But listen, he's a promising player. I like what I see, man. For me, he was the perfect person. And I'm not saying it's in retrospect because of what we spent in the summer window. Listen, if you see my Instagram, I was very, very, very open about I wanted him at Arsenal. Above most strikers, to be honest with you. And Arsenal are like cash converters, and he was affordable. So that was another thing as well. So Kesh, I'll bring you in quickly about Edward, my friend.
Listen, for the last 22 months, I was banging on about this guy. I was giving him all the fire, putting his name out there. I had certain individuals in the fan base commenting and saying, "Hold on, just a second.
Go on, bro. Go on.
Yeah, I'll take it over.
Take over. Go on, Tols.
the thing is, right, people were obviously putting me off because he's from Celtic, from the Scottish League or the Premier League, a massive step up. But the mad thing is, right, when we look at the Premier League and we look at Premier League winners in the last sort of 5 years, most of them have come from the second division or the third division of the French League. Forget about Celtic, where they're playing top division football. They've come from look at Mahrez, look at Kante, look at Jamie Vardy, who came from basically Sunday League.
Yeah.
That team basically won a Premier League out of all the odds. And then obviously they made these big moves into Chelsea and City and got to win a Champions League. One's got to win a Premier League and domestic trebles and stuff. I don't get this notion of just because the league is weak and they're doing it in there that they can't make the transition over. People forget when you're scouting or when you're looking for a player, you need to look at their sort of profile and what they do and what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and whether they can convert over to the league. When you look at Edouard, one of the things that he has got the physicality. Yes, he may not be the most paciest of wingers, but he's got the physicality. And then we've seen it against who did Crystal Palace play? Spurs, sorry. Tottenham. We've seen it there. Literally the fastest goal, a debut goal in 25 seconds. That wasn't just coincidence. That's because he's got good positioning. He knows where to be. And then look at the finish. Both his finishes, by the way, were elite. They are natural instincts. They're not just something you can't think about it, but they're just natural. You know how to finish. And that's something that gets converted. So when I say to people, when you look at a player, look at their profile and look at what they do as an individual, and then look at players in that league that you're looking at. Say, for example, you're looking at La Liga. Will they convert into La Liga? Will they convert into the Premier League? That's what you look for, not where they're playing. It's just a ridiculous thing to do.
No, nice one. Look, Kesh, let me quickly bring you in. Go on, bro. So finish what you're going to say.
Yeah, so as I was saying, like, I was bigging him up and everything, and certain individuals saying, oh, it's a Scottish league. Like, what does that matter? Like, it's not, can't compare to the Premier League. Defenders are poor. I'm saying, look at the guy. Look at the way he moves. Everything he does is effortless. I know a goal scorer when I see one. If you look at those 2 goals, that was just natural instincts.
Yeah,
we didn't need to take a pause to look where the keeper was. He just knew where he was going to find the corner and score. I mentioned Henrik Larsson, and I'm not saying he's on that level. And I said Henrik Larsson converted from the Scottish League, came to Manchester United, done his thing, going to Barca, whatever.
Yeah.
The person said, it doesn't matter. I was like, it's the same league. That's a world-class player that came from that league. You got the likes of Van Dijk, you got the likes of Wanyama, who had his moments in England as well. You can't just look at the league and absolutely put a player down and say he's not good enough. You have to look at their characteristics, their profile, and look at their intelligence when they're on the ball.
Kesh,
and that's how you
determine
what
to add to that, our manager came from Scotland as well. Not Everton. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's ridiculous, these notions that you frown upon certain leagues just because a player you don't rate it, you say he's not good enough.
Yeah, madness. I'm going to quickly get your thoughts quickly. I'm going to move on to my player. And Kesh's player as well, sorry.
Remind me, where did our left back come from again?
No, he came from Man City. That's why it's all right, isn't it?
Oh.
No, I think he came from Barcelona actually. Just after they won a treble. Yeah, I think that's
my bad. My bad. He came from the student that used the student of Johan.
No. Do you know the Super League before it was made? He came from there.
You guys are fun.
Honestly, I don't know. All I can say about Hudson Odward, 5 touches, 2 goals. Nothing more to be said. There's nothing really more to be said.
No, what's it? Kesh, I'm gonna come to my player before I come to yours. I'll show you. It might be the same player. Could you imagine? That'd be funny. But I don't think it will be. I've gone for someone a bit different. I kept an eye on this guy's career actually. And I'm gonna bring up this young man, boys. Damari Gray. 25 now. Made his EFL debut for Birmingham back in 2013, age 17. Got his move to Leicester after 3 years spent at Birmingham. Worked under a good manager in Gary Rowett, who's now at Millwall. Leicester is interesting on Demarai Gray because there's always, you know what, I watch him play
Mhm.
and I expect more. Like
Yeah.
I want to see more. I know he's that type of player where you got a section of a fan base that will just write him off. I lose the ball too much. I always watch him play and I think, you know what? I know there's a player in there that is just waiting to come out and to explode. And Leicester, I thought he might get more of a chance under Rodgers, but I think Leicester's fantastic recruitment, obviously, and the players that they've got in certain positions didn't really probably allow him to get his opportunity, or maybe Rodgers kind of thought else otherwise. But he's got his moves to Everton after having a bit of a loan spell at Bayer Leverkusen, which at the time I think is meant to be for like an 18-month contract. But Everton have gotten. When I saw the price that Everton snapped him up for, one word that came into my mind, boys: bargain. Absolute bargain. And the fact that obviously Rafa's there. Let's listen. Look, I'm not going to get too carried away. He's had a very promising start at Everton, but I hope he goes on to have a fantastic career at Everton and fulfill the potential that I believe that he's always had, even back to his Birmingham City days. So big up to you, Demarai Gray, man from the Midlands, one of the brothers. Go and do your thing. You go work under a fantastic manager in Benitez. I think he's had a very, very promising start. The potential just needs to be unlocked even more, and the consistency, obviously. But I'm impressed with what I've seen so far. I'm going to come to RJ first about my thoughts about young Demarai Gray.
He's an interesting one. I mean, when I watched him at Leicester, it's like what you said. You know, I just feel there's something more, but it's not coming out. And this might be a shock to what I might say to you guys. Well, then again, whatever I say is a shock to everybody. I look at him like a fellow Arsenal player that's on loan right now, where a lot of hype was at him, and then there's split in the fan base between, I'm talking about Nelson.
Yeah,
where
100%.
There's potential there. There was hype about him before, but whenever we see him play, it doesn't really, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I think when he was at Leicester, when I look at Harvey Barnes, look at the way he's transformed in a player, and I think that could have been Demarai Gray.
Yeah, 100%.
But, you know, at Everton, why not? You know what I mean? They're trying to start something new, which from what last season, obviously Carlo left. Now they got Rafa in, more experience. He's got the likes of, Decore, Richarlison. I think he will really grow and shine as a player. And hopefully this season, this is actually a good shout, He can kick on, and we can see the potential that is locked inside. It's just how far can he go in his career?
100%.
That's a very, very good choice. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do.
Let me bring in. I'm going to bring in Souls actually quickly. Yeah, what's your thoughts, mate?
I just hope he can get rid of that sort of where he starts really good and he has a really quick start to every season, and then it kind of just dwindles out. And I just hope he can. I think that's down to kind of consistent game time as well. Certain players just need it. Whereas with obviously at Leicester, they rely on a bit more of Albrighton coming into it more than they do with obviously Demarai Gray. Hopefully at Everton they can see this, and Rafa Benitez and Everton, to be fair, they don't have the luxury of having a good squad depth. So maybe he is going to be the first name on that team sheet, especially with Iwobi just being 4 since he's left and signed for Everton from Arsenal. He's not really lived up to the price tag or anything. So it might just be like Gray gets an opportunity, even though he might have a couple of bad games, and that could be what gets him to realise his potential. So it's a good shout, and I do like what I'm seeing, because some of the goals are just like, you know what, that's quality. Like that goal when he ripped 2 players and then he misshot it, he just kind of swindled it. That was a really good goal. Like that comes from desire to want to score. And I hope, Rafa's given him the belief that he needs. I'm not saying that, Leicester, Brendan Rodgers and that didn't give it him, but sometimes a certain manager just clicks with a certain player and they can and they realise their potential for longer. So, I hope so anyway.
No, good shot. Kesh, bring you in quickly on Demarai Gray. What's your thoughts, my bro?
As Ryan said, he's very on the cuff. Like,
yeah.
he had a lot of potential. I feel a lot of it do come down to a bit of desire and actually wanting to go up a level. And let's face it, like not every player has that desire. Some players are actually comfortable with
Yeah.
the level that they're at, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I've always rated him. I've always seen him pop up with a few worldies for Leicester. You think
Yeah.
good player, like, you know. But he's off the age now. Maybe it's just an age thing. Maybe he's gonna
25 now, yeah,
yeah,
25.
maybe he's hitting that age where he's gonna be where he's a lot more mature now and he's looking to push on. Um, Hopefully he does go on to have a good career at Everton. I think you can see what Benitez wants to do with the likes of him and Townsend on
Townsend,
either
yes.
side. Like you can clearly see what he's doing there. So yeah, all the best to him.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, Everton Rose. If you do see this, I'm gonna clip it. I'm gonna show her. I know she had reservations about Townsend. Did he put it that well? I was thinking.
Listen. Townsend always get one of those once a season. I swear to God, always.
I said to myself, "Oh my goodness, this guy, bro, Townsend, flipping hell, man." But yeah, you're right, Kesh, about it's smart signings with Damari Gray and Townsend, man. Seriously, it gives Everton a bit more bite, man. And it'll help Calvert-Lewin 100%. But Kesh, gonna come to you if you've got your hopefully you got your player in mind. Otherwise, we have to move on. But I'm sure you have, bro. Go on, bro.
Yeah.
Who's your guy, bro?
For me, mine is Conor Gallagher. Like I watched him briefly over when he was at West Brom.
Yeah.
You can see that he had potential. You can see that he's a player that can offer you a lot, but I felt he was kind of restricted in that team. Now you see him under Vieira, and for years I've been calling for Palace to kind of put a little upgrade towards their midfield, a bit more dynamism to get forward, actually control a game, because they never really had players who can control a game. It's more like transition football in a sense.
Yeah.
But he gives, if you look at the Tottenham game, he gave a lot of control in the final third. He was brave on the ball, always looking to get it on the off turn and things like that. So I'm impressed with him. I think he's a very good player. I think he's going to be a player that you see in the Premier League for a very long time. Hopefully, you'll probably see him get a few goals this season and make a name for himself.
No, Kesh, that's a brilliant shout. You know, I don't know too much about him. I'm going to quickly speak before I bring in Souls. But I will now that you've actually brought him up, I'll make sort of a conscious effort to keep an eye out for him, because I've heard his name obviously mentioned before when he's at West Brom. But yeah, Kesh, brilliant shout, man, brilliant shout. Souls, what's your thoughts on Conor Gallagher, bro? If you got any?
Yeah, it's similar to what Kesh said. Obviously, when you're at West Brom, they're a lot more reserved in the style they play. They're fighting for relegation, really. That's just what their aim is. Whereas the Crystal Palace have kind of established themselves, even if they do it in a scrappy way for a mid-table team. They're not quite. I don't think they're battling for relegation, but they're just above that level where you're looking at sort of 10 to 14. You know, it's kind of where they're expected to finish. And obviously, the way when you look at Vieira and the way he plays and the way that Crystal Palace have generally played, even under Hodgson, for example, is a lot more attacking, and that gives him that ability to kind of just have the freedom to do what he wants to do. And that's what we're seeing now. It's not that, you know, Gallagher's only been good because he's come to Crystal Palace. He's had this ability. Yeah. It's just unfortunate that his loan move was to West Brom. And this is the thing. Obviously, people are look at Vieira. He lost his opening. Was it 2 games? I think it was, or 3 games. Yeah. But when you watch him, I was like, this isn't Vieira like that we've seen. You know, there was no press in his first 3 games. There was none of his tactics that we've seen in pre-season were there. And I go, watch when Edward comes into this team. Watch when the likes of Conor Gallagher come in. And, you know, Wilfred Zaha's actually fit. That's when you'll see them firing. And now that you've seen that dynamic now, under Vieira especially, is going to get the best out of Gallagher. And when Kesh mentioned it on Twitter, I was like, oh, do you know what? I completely forgot about him. I was like, that is an elite shout to have a look at.
Yeah, good shout. RJ, I'm going to come to you quickly if you've got any thoughts. But before I move on to the next segment of the Umo surgery, Umo practice, Southeast London's finest surgery. What's your thoughts, RJ?
To be honest, I don't really know much about him myself.
No,
but from that game against Tottenham, I mean, wow. he's got a lot of
Yeah.
energy, and he was causing a lot of problems with Wilfred Zaha. And like Kesh said,
Yeah.
in terms of the transition of Palace previously, like under Hodgson, it was a bit, you know what I mean? So now, different new team, a lot of new players, Vieira coming in, like it's a breath of fresh air for Crystal Palace, and it's nice to see someone with high energy, you know, in that team, and they needed that.
Yeah.
Like
Something
Sol
different
said,
from Roy Hodgson. Yeah.
10
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
14, maybe it could be a really good thing for Crystal Palace going forward. But for Gallagher, so I'm gonna keep my eye on him myself. Actually, it's
Yeah,
a good
hundred
shout.
percent. That's, bruv. You know what? That's the thing. Like when me and Sol's done the series for the Euros. Listen, I don't know every player internationally, man. Like you know what I mean. It's an education for me. Seeing the likes of, for example, Doku for Belgium, exceptional. Got the ball, just constantly peppering the left back for Italy. Like it's for me. Like I will say to people, as much as I love Arsenal, I'm a football fan first and foremost. So I enjoyed international European football. You know, I used to be big. Used to love Serie A. Sort of, as I know, I say to people, I'm 21 years plus VAT. So I grew up in the 90s with like the Mateus and Bremer and them guys playing in Italy and Van Basten, and that's when Serie A was. People talk about the Premier League now. You couldn't touch Serie A back then. Seriously, man, it was a different kettle of fish, man. Seriously,
Yeah.
that league. But yeah, I don't want to run out. I've done a sort of overrun time, so I'm going to go to this question straight. It's a very good one, actually. I'm actually going to kick off with it, so guys might want to sort of kind of think, oh, he's brought something to my attention, but a bit different topic to talk about. I'm going to get the question up on screen. Audio listeners, I'll read it out as I go. So, what have you learned the most about the YouTube stroke social media from when you first started your channel up until now? Hashtag what a question. Now, Kesh, I know you haven't got a channel, but you're more than qualified to answer this, man. Being on plenty of live streams. But I'm going to kick off with this. As you guys know, but before I come to it, big up Scott in Australia, man. 11 hours ahead. Jesus Christ, man. Scott, my bro, much love, man. Keep doing your amazing work on your channel. Big guests you've had on there, man. Pass my love on to you, the rest of the boys as well. The question, guys. So I'm going to kick off with it, and I'm going to bring you guys in. Now, I've had many conversations with RJ, Kesh, and Souls about many things about YouTube in particular, social media, Instagram and Twitter, especially. But I'll kick off with it. And yeah, I've been doing YouTube since June 2020. And I've always said to a lot of people, in particular you guys, is that you learn things very quickly in terms of who to collab with and who to not collab with and who to be wary of and so forth and so forth. But I think the one thing that I've sort of, when I first started till now, talking to you guys on the live stream and people watching on Facebook Live and YouTube, is that jealousy and resentment can surface very, very easily. It can be done in a very subtle way, but that's one thing I would say that I've noticed. Sometimes you think people are on board in terms of supporting yourself and your channel. That's not the case. And if you don't think that isn't the case, then you're deluding yourself. Not everybody wants the best for you. It may appear like that on the outside, but that's not the case. So all the hashtag come on you Gunners and hashtag Arsenal family, there's certain people you'll be like, you know what, yeah, that person's in the trenches with me. But a lot of the people are not. I see things on Twitter and I'm like, you're not really on board. But yeah, the two things I take away for what I've learned in the last year is that jealousy and resentment can build up very easy. I'm going to give you two small examples actually, and one of the guys on the panel, you won't mind me saying this. So, Souls, you obviously had the fortune of interviewing ex-professional Arsenal footballer Kevin Campbell. Now, I watched that show, and I always say to people, don't always pay attention to the comments, but pay attention to them a little bit, because you'll see the people come out very slowly and very salty and very. Because the thing is, Souls, what you've done is, you know what I mean? You're my bro, and I'll be honest with you. Like, I know for a fact that absolutely triggered people in a way that there's this thing that if you do YouTube and you haven't got anything in excess of 5,000 subscribers, you don't deserve to have certain people on your channel. How's this person got him on your channel? I know how you got him on the channel. It's not through luck. Sometimes it might be you need a little bit of luck sometimes in life, generally speaking, but it wasn't luck, bro. I know that. We know that. The boys in the chat, the boys on the live stream know that. People get triggered very easy. Another shout out to my boy Joe, JG Fight Talk. Go and subscribe to his channel, people, if you're a boxing fan. Man done his thing and got Joseph Parker on his channel. That's not an easy thing to do. And I saw some of the comments that my boy got. Salty people. You have to, and that's the reality. You're dealing with people that just either don't really know you and just they have this thing where you don't deserve to have certain people in your channel. So that's what I've learned. The saltiness and the jealousy and the resentment is very easy to spot now, in my opinion, and doing YouTube since June last year. So let me get the thoughts of my esteemed panel, because I'm sure they'll have something to say about this particular subject. So I'm gonna come to Souls actually. Your thoughts on this question, and you know what? Speak freely, my friend.
Yeah, I think what you said is probably the biggest thing that I've learned is that you know what? If you're on the up, there'll be a lot of people who want to work with you and a lot of people who want to ride that success with you. But the minute you start to kind of veto or even kind of flatline, or like you're not really growing, people will start to kind of like, oh,
yes,
do you really want to work with them? That's one thing I've learned. And I think a lot of people will say this as well, because I've seen so many people go through this. When you first start a channel up, there's so many people who have the arrogance to not want to work with you. And the minute, like, for example, like for me, the switching point has been, you know, I've been, you know, I'm in a blessed situation in terms of YouTube where there's a lot of channels who have approached me to work with them. Obviously, I'm a regular on a few channels in terms of obviously the Football Terrorists. Obviously, Jess's channel, She Knows Arsenal. And then obviously on here, when obviously this is now going to become hopefully a regular show once we can get the timing and stuff sorted out. And then, you know, so I'm in that position where, yes, I'm on the up in that sense, in the most humble way that I can possibly say. And now a lot of people do want to work with me, but when I approached them first, like, you know, when I first started off, I go, look, you know, I'm looking to collab, just get my name out there a little bit, and, you know, do content. It was like they looked up, like they put their nose up at you, and then now they're like, actually, yeah, this guy's in the in, or like this guy's like getting interactions with so many these kinds of people. Yeah, let's get him into the circle. And it's like, that's one thing, like, as much as, you know what, everything tells you to collab with someone because they're big or they've got a big following, just remember your worth. Still remember that. Don't be I know it's going to sound mad, but don't be a sin. That's all I'm trying to say, is like, don't look at it and go, oh my God, this guy that's got like thousands of subscribers, I have to work. Because the truth is, right, collaborations, yes, they'll help you grow, but they won't help you as your individual profile grow. It's still going to be you and your time that you put in, the effort that you put in, and the content you make ultimately. And like, you know, you touched on it, like with Kevin Campbell, it was, you know, these guys haven't just started following me because I begged them to follow me or I've asked them.
100%. There's a way. There's a way. Yeah. There's a way.
Half the people who follow me that are in this sort of YouTube space, I've barely interacted with. Yes, I might have commented on a tweet here and there, or they might have retweeted something here and there, but a lot of them just followed me because of the things I'm saying or the tweets that I'm making, because they're getting insight into a different, like, or a different thought that they're not getting from other people. And that's the other thing that you learn, is that just be authentic, be real, don't beg it, because people will see that. And as much as, yes, you might get interaction, as much as you'll get followers, it's not the same. They don't really care that on that level. Like, I interact with people that have got good following, and I get replies from them quite frequently because they know that it's just genuine conversation I'm having, you know, having the thoughts. I'm not begging them for anything or I want anything in return. As much as it's a two-way street, sometimes, you know what, you've got to put the work in and not expect anything in return, and that's when you'll flourish. And don't turn, because you never know, like, an opportunity could change your life. Like, you never know, just because someone's got 50 subscribers, you don't know what their background is. They could actually be someone who works for a broadcasting company or a journalist, like they have their own publishing or working, but they just not advertised it.
Right.
So don't turn your nose up at something just because they may not have the following right now, because you never know who they actually are. So that's the few things I've learned coming into this journey. It's just ultimately just be yourself, because you know what? As much as you try and put a persona on, it's impossible. I'm telling you, it's so draining to keep it up.
Yeah.
Just be authentic, because otherwise, then you're not trapped in a corner. You're not making the next video being like, oh my god, I actually don't believe in what I'm saying. That becomes draining. A draining process. Just be authentic. Put your views out there. If you're wrong, you're wrong. It doesn't matter. Just admit, like, say for example, like Arteta turned it around and started a title contender or something. Now, even if you were Arteta out and you were wrong in that, or if you were Arteta in and now you're Arteta out, just be fine with it. Don't think that just because you're one viewpoint previously that you can't change your viewpoint now. That's all it is. I think authenticity for me is the number one thing I've learned.
Yeah, no, listen, I echo your thing. Before I bring in Kesh, one thing I've always said as well, it's sort of the thing about the subscribers and I'm going to say it. I don't care what people say. In regards to our circle, the three people in Kesh, yourself and RJ, and myself, I included that obviously. What I always say is people get triggered by people that are popular. You don't even have to have even more than you've got so many subscribers. Believe me, in the year and a bit I've been doing this, it's so obvious to see people dislike people that are popular, people that constantly get retweeted by bigger accounts or people that are quite popular. That it really, really triggers them. So, Kesh, let me bring you back. What's your thoughts? I know you haven't got a channel, but like I said, you're more than qualified to give your opinion about this question, man.
What I've learned is just a lot of people wear a mask. People come out and you think their intention is all innocent and everything, and then you see a different side to them. There's always going to be haters, and I tell people that a lot all the time when I see them saying things have happened, and just to brush it off and you continue doing what you're doing, putting in your work, because in life you just have to take pride in everything you do in it. You have to worry about yourself and put everything on the back burners, and you'll see the positive people around you, the positive people that you've met, the positive people that you speak. So it's not all doom and gloom, it's not all bad. There's actually good out there as well. So you have to take the best of both worlds that come with it.
Yeah, no, good stuff. No, well said, Kid. Big up Shane in the chat, man. Thank you, my bro. RJ, the prince of YouTube. Let's have your thoughts, brother. Don't hold back, my friend.
When do I ever hold back? Come on, guys, you know me. Listen, there's so many things that you guys even covered that I could have said as well. Yeah. But there's so many people that try and, how can I put this? Put on this mask, like Kesh just said. Like Soul said, not being themselves, just being fake, and I can't stand that. And as well as what Soul said, what I can't stand is people, being jealous as well of, oh, how'd you get this person on your channel? And I'm like, did you forget how you started? Yeah. You know what I mean? I like, for me, I'm in no position to, with my subscribers compared to Albert's or Soul's. Cash, we need to get you on YouTube. I don't give a crap. But listen, as far as I'm concerned, I don't look at people's subscribers. I do this because I want to do this. And a lot of people have inspired me to do this. So for you to turn your nose up at somebody else because they got so-and-so on their channel, who are you? Yeah. But another thing that really grinds my gears, I would say another word. I don't know.
I know.
So is that, listen, opinions. This is the biggest thing that annoys me. We can all be opinionated, right? But to sit there and be like, no, this is a fact. Then he starts getting personal, and then they start attacking family members but I'm like, it's a conversation. I cannot stand half the time. I'll be on Twitter, go on Instagram, I see people in the comments All
RJ,
bickering.
I'm gonna
Oh, this
really
player's
cut,
not
RJ. I'm sorry, bro. I'm gonna really cut you. I'm
Go
gonna
ahead.
say what you're saying, but Scott brought up a really good comment there. Just carry on. Sorry, bro.
Oh, I was gonna get to that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was
Go
gonna
on.
get
Don't
to
worry.
that.
Don't
I'm
worry.
glad
Don't
Scott
worry.
brought that up.
Go on.
You just gotta sit back and let him
Oh,
talk today.
Scott, I'm glad you brought this up. I'm glad you brought this up.
Yeah, I am as well.
So opinions. All right, let's just put that to rest. Positivity. Listen, this fake positivity rubbish. Call it how it is. You
Yeah.
can't just say, "Oh, it's all rosy in the garden" when it's not, and there's bare mud. No. You need to be yourself. Stop being positive just to make certain sections of fan bases or people you don't
Yeah.
even know your best
Yeah.
friend. I can't
Yeah.
stand that. You need to be
Yeah, I
you.
don't do that.
If you're not
Yeah.
being you, people will see through that. As far as I'm concerned, like for example, look at our club. We're in a mess. Listen, if people want to be positive, okay, but be honest.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a
That's the thing.
mess. You can't tell me when we were 20th, which wasn't even that long ago, right? -9 goals at one point,
Yeah.
and oh, let's be positive, yay! About what? We're in a relegation dogfight within 3 games. We got slapped about, and you're telling me, don't worry, the sunshine will be out. Mikel Arteta will turn it around. We got Xhaka. Yay! Get out of here. Get out of here, please. Please. Stop
You know
lying
what,
to
RJ?
yourself.
Yeah, RJ, I'm laughing, but I'm
I'm
not
done, don't
laughing.
worry.
You're making me laugh, but no, it's not just that. It's because, listen, I'm of African origin. I'm Nigerian. We know about being positive, believe me. But RJ, you're right, and Scott, big up the comment in the chat. Like, don't just be positive for the sake of being positive, because your team and your club has to give you something to be positive about, and that's not the case. So, you know, I would struggle to tell an Arsenal fan, "Oh, you know what? Now, come on, don't be so negative. Come on. You've got to be positive. You have to always say the acid test is your own eyes don't lie to you. So why why are you spreading something that's not true? It's crazy, bro. But no, big up to you guys, man. That's a question I was looking forward to getting the answers. You answered it fantastically. But guys, you know what? I've not got long left, so I'm going to sort of move on to Arsenal and sort of your predictions for Burnley. But just in a snapshot, what was your expectations before the start of the season, and taking into consideration the transfer window? Where do you think Arsenal would finish the season? Kicking off with Kesh.
Listen, coming off the back of last season, with all the talks I was hearing saying that we've already got our transfer plans lined up, you've spoken to them, you've spoken to, I was excited. I thought, all right, maybe we're going to spend the money, get some quality in, and with or without Mikel Arteta, we'll have a solid foundation for whatever manager comes in. A bit like what Ollie's doing at Man United. Then when we signed the likes of Lakonga and we also did sign again Ben White and things like that,
Ben White.
I thought, all right, cool, that's all right. Let's go and get a midfielder. Let's go get a striker. Let's sort out the right back position as well. Things kind of slowed down a bit. I thought, you know what? We give them to the end of the window. Got towards the end of the window. I wasn't really happy when I saw that the likes of Shaka's got a new contract and the midfielder wasn't coming in. I thought it's not really changing the game for us. It's the same midfield that was completely lacking ideas. Some of the targets that I was expecting to come in didn't come in, so it varies. My expectations kind of varied, but I do believe that this squad is good enough to go and get fifth or sixth. No one can tell me this squad isn't good enough.
Yeah,
to do that.
100%. 100%.
You know what I mean? Like, I know people want to throw banter. I know there's Arsenal fans that are so bitter towards whatever the regime is right now, and I'd feel Arsenal fans, just because you're bitter and you want things, listen, you're well within your right to be bitter. You're well within your right to want these people out, but you've got to be able to have constructive conversation and have a balance towards what you're saying. This squad, with or without Mikel Arteta, is able to challenge for fifth or sixth. It's as simple as that for me, and that's the expectations this summer.
Yeah.
That's the expectation. From when the transfer window closed, that's the expectation. You go and get us back into Europa League, and then we take it from there. Simple as that.
Yeah. Kesh, let me quickly get your What's your score prediction for Saturday, my friend?
My score prediction. You know
Tough
what?
one.
It's
Tough
not
one.
even. It's not even that it's tough. Like I'm not really worried, and I know people say you should be worried, but I'm beyond. I'm kind of like beyond the worrying anymore
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
It's like I take it as it comes. If it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. But I do believe off the back of what I saw against Norwich, and it weren't spectacular. It wasn't at all, but you saw a bit more of a dynamic team. Whether it was a balanced attack, like we wasn't focusing down Tierney's side. We
As always.
actually had
Yeah.
Tommy actually
Tommy
kind of
Arsenal.
linking up
Yeah.
with Pepe, so there was a bit more balance in the team. You also saw the midfield trying to thread balls through the middle of the path. It wasn't just get your ball out wide and whip it in. There was a lot more ideas in this team. Yes, we never created many clear cut chances, but you saw the opportunity, you saw the transitions that we had, and you just know that the team hasn't really gelled. Like there was about 5 new players in that old team, and playing a bit more once they get gel, maybe 1 or 2 passes in the final third will start to come off a lot more, and then we can start creating more clear cut chances. Hopefully, the likes of Aubameyang now he's got a goal to get him off to get him off to a start. Now he can go on into this Burnley game and score. And looking off the back of the Everton game, Burnley actually played. Well, I haven't watched it, but from what I've been told, is Burnley played such an eye line.
They did.
Now you have to play Aubameyang, and we saw in the Norwich game, we actually saw Aubameyang
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
being
Yeah,
played
both scores.
to his strength.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that a lot of fans are saying play to Aubameyang's strength. We saw that there was a few clip balls over the top.
Yeah.
Maybe
100%.
a more confident Aubameyang, if he was coming off the back of 3 goals over the previous games, would have finished those chances. So we are creating chances now, and now we just want the team to gel. You want the likes of Partey to be starting, the likes of Gabriel and the likes of White to build a solid foundation. I saw what Tommy can do. Tommy looks impressive. He looks very dominant. I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but from
Yeah.
what I've seen from him, he looks like a player who takes a lot of pride into his performance. Like when you see him, the way he's running back, he's chasing back, and he's got a lot of tactical nuance because
Yeah. Yes.
he's 1 step ahead of the game, and because he's so both-footed, he's able to create angles and actually have different ideas. Like when you saw Bellerin get to the byline, it was just always whip it in, and there wasn't really any conviction in his cross. You saw with Tommy, got to the byline, he chopped it back, whipped it in. Like you need to be creating and thinking 1 step ahead of your opponent. And I like what I saw, and I think he can improve.
Kesh, what's the score for Saturday?
I'm going for a 2-0 Arsenal. I think
I've had
Lacazette might not start. Lacazette might not start, but I do think he comes on and he score 1.
No, good shout, Kesh. Well said. I'm gonna bring in RJ. What's your thought? Yeah, sort of. What's your same question again? What's your thought, sort of, coming into the season, and obviously after the transfer window and score predictions, my friend?
Coming into the season, well, I mean, I didn't get my hopes up massively because of, we don't know what to expect when it comes to, are we going to spend big money? Are we going to spend less money? My ideal thinking was more on the outgoings.
Yeah,
Because
100%.
the likes of Xhaka, El Nene, and X, Y, and Z players going out, I was kind of thinking, is Saliba going to actually get a chance here? And what are we going to do with Herrera? All this stuff. And then, it wasn't really dealt with the way I would have liked it to have been dealt with, And with the players that came in, at first I was a bit like, I felt like we needed some players like ready, set, come in. I felt like, Basuma, as we talked about earlier, I felt we needed him in that midfield unless Xhaka went. That didn't happen. Even if Xhaka stayed, I still would have liked Basuma to come in. But Lokonga's impressed me. Ben White done all right so far with the Norwich game with Gabriel, which is good. Tomiyasu, same thing. Like Kes said, I'm not going to get overexcited, but I like what I saw.
Yeah, 100%.
Ramsdale, same thing. See how it goes. But, I mean, okay, transfer window, okay. Would have preferred it get more experienced players in and maybe some young players the next season because it would have, made more sense. But, I just want to see how we go going forward. And yeah, I agree. Cash challenging for fifth or sixth, trying to get into that Europa League because we have to be realistic with where our squad is. None of this, we need to get top four. We're in no shape to
No, we're not
compete
getting
with the
top four.
likes of, United, Chelsea, City, and Liverpool.
Yeah.
We're way too, and even Leicester, West Ham. Look at all these teams that have gradually gotten better over time while we stayed stagnated and gone backwards. So it's just down to Arteta if he's still there to try and pull up trees or something and get this team going and compete better. But going into Burnley, that's
No, I think I lost Arj. Have I lost him? I've lost him. So, do you want to come in? Was he nice there? You back, Rajay? No, he's not. He's not. So, do you want to come? He's always back again. It's like a comedy sketch. This is not a lie. This is Real McCoy in 2021. If people in the chat old enough to know that, they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Arjay's gone, man. So, come in, my friend.
Yeah, no, I'll go with the score prediction first. Just get that out of the way. I think it's going to be 2-0. It's going to be a dominant display. Obviously, beating Norwich is just going to give the team confidence. When you look at 30 shots for the first time since 2013, obviously the only concerning thing is obviously only 7 on target. The conversion wasn't great and only getting 1 goal. That's the concerning factor for me. There were so many opportunities. I think even Aubameyang could have got a hat trick. Pepe could have got a hat trick at some point. Saka could have got a few goals as well. So that's the only concern I have is just our lack of finishing, which has always been the case. But in terms of the transfer strategy and going into the season, I actually quite like what they did. And I know that sounds a bit bizarre. It's not the way I would have done it, but I like the thought process of it. Reason being, I've always said there's one of two ways you can compete against the top 4 or the top 2 or the top 3, however you want to look at it. You either financially blow out the window, as in go spend 300-400 million pounds per window and get your top players in each position, or you go with the strategy that we did, go young and grow those players so that in maybe a season or 2 they develop as you bring in that 1 or 2 signings. And that's the approach we're looking to be taking because Lokonga in a year's time is going to be good. Parsley's obviously going to turn 30, 31, and he's probably going to leave. By then, Lokonga would have been built up to take the reins of Partey, and then you can just go use that Partey money to replace him, or go and then use that Partey money to look at elsewhere in the squad that you need to then build on. When you look at this transfer strategy now, obviously 51 redundancies being made. What we did instead was we've started to now do what's traditionally what Barcelona, Ajax, Man City have introduced, Liverpool have done as well, is video analytics and data-driven signings, where instead of actually having physical scouts at locations, we're now looking at data. We're looking at these sort of background figures of these players and looking at videos and analysing this. Dedicated people who literally their job is to sit and watch these signings or these targets and find out whether they fit, what their cons are, what their pros are. And that's only going to evolution the way that we move forward. And there's no coincidence that Tomiyasu came in and he only had a training session and he looked like he's been there for a while, like he's been training with the team, like as if he didn't have an international break. Yeah. It's because they have thought about it. And the thing is, one thing I will say is, as much as we're against these signings, break them down and watch what their strengths are and look at the way we play and how they fit in. They all do. They all fit into the system. When you look at Tomiyasu or look at Bologna, for example, they play a 4-2-3-1 asymmetrical system where their left-hand side is more advanced than their right. And that's what Tomiyasu is coming in to do in this Arteta system. And that's a natural transition. You look at him being two-footed with an elite, vertical pass, which is what we wanted. We wanted Tierney to be more advanced with the likes of Saka or Pepe, depending on who the left-hand winger will be. And we want them to transition from the right-hand side of the pitch with Ben White and Tomiyasu being your more ball progressors from the defence. And then your left-hand side is going to be the ones who don't really impact your playing out of the back, because Gabriel isn't comfortable doing that. Tierney has got to be bombing up forward when we make the attacks happen. And then what happens is Tomiyasu then drifts into the 3. And then when you've got Ramsdale in there, who's someone who is confident making that first-time pass, you start to realise actually these signings have been made for a purpose to fit this team and not just, pluck a name out of the air. And that's the first time I've seen a strategy that actually makes sense once you take the emotions away. And like, Kesh and Ryan said, I think top six has to be the bare minimum. And do I think he can turn this around? 100%. 100%. I'm not saying I'm Arteta in, but I do think he can do it. I do think he can get us top six this season. I know that sounds bizarre, but you look at the 3 games in context. He didn't have Gabriel, he didn't have Ben White, he didn't have the likes of Partey in there. And then obviously Aubameyang, Lacazette, whatever the case may have been, whether it was COVID or whether they had a bust up in training or whatever, he didn't have these players. And that makes a huge impact in the way you build up and the way you transition in play. You have Holding. We know Holding can't pass the ball. We know Ben White is levels ahead of that. Gabriel's your physical defender. And once these players are introduced, you can see it. Norwich wasn't a coincidence to have 30 shots. It's just now he's got the players who can do what he needs them to do. And that's why the likes of Xhaka, look at Xhaka not being in the team. And Maitland-Niles looks like a different player in midfield all of a sudden with more progressive passes. And Odegaard as well, for example, he is going to unlock Aubameyang the way he plays. But as the season goes on and they build their cohesion and their chemistry, because you got to remember, these men have only played together for 6 months or half a season. As time goes on, this team will get more minutes under their belt. Like, for example, when they play Burnley, that'll be another game under their belt playing together. And then obviously Spurs, there's a lot of rumours going around about certain players being bought back in or not. But that'll be obviously the ultimate test whether he sticks to his guts or whether he brings back Leno or Xhaka, which is the rumours. But obviously when you look at his press conference today, he's looking to be sticking with Ramsdale, making him the number one at the very moment. But no, I'm actually excited. I know it sounds bizarre, but I think top six is achievable with or without Mikel Arteta.
No, good shot, Kesh and Solzy. RJ, I know you cut out, but I know you put in the chat. You went 2-0 Arsenal. So that's quite a popular scoreline actually. But people in the chat, thank you for your loyalty tuning in for Weekly Surgery Part 1. But people, like I said, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, follow my esteemed guests. But as I always like to say on my live streams, if you somehow didn't know what to do, this is what you should do. And there you have it, people. Podcast listeners, we are not in a nightclub. It's the intro to subscribe to the channel. But my final thoughts. People, get your virtual waves in the chat. And like I said, don't just touch the like button, smash it. So you know what? I was obviously at the game at Saturday, as you guys know, against Norwich. And what I've been kind of complaining about, I've had this chat with RJ and a few of you boys in our sort of group chat. I know people talk about, they want to see Arteta pick a more settled 11 100% because I can't believe the guy's been here over 2 years and there's no cohesive starting 11 or a nucleus of the team that's going to play. One thing I do want him to definitely concentrate on and what I want to see is, I said, if Arsenal are going to play a flat back four, for example, that's your four that played on Saturday. No if, buts, or maybes. That is your four. I wanted Tomiyasu to start. He was in good. If the work permit was there, done, as Chris Wheatley tweeted last week, play him. If he's fit, play him. If he's okay to give you 60, 70 minutes, you play him. None of this putting Cedric in or Chambers. No, play the guy you bought. Play him. And I always say this, and I don't want people to start getting carried away. As Kesh has alluded to, it's one game. But what the point I'm trying to make, sort of, when I did the review after the game, is when I watch fullbacks and wingbacks, whatever way you want to put it. Me and Kesh, give a shout out to our boy Denzel Dumfries, for example. I want to see agility, athleticism, recovery, positional sense. And that is what we've been crying out for, that position. People, don't lose sight of what I'm actually saying. I'm not talking about beating Norwich or the quality of. I'm talking about a player playing in that position, giving us what we need.
Profile.
Thank you. And he was. I thought he was brilliant. And he's a lot big. I think he's about 6'2". He's a big lad.
6'2". Fast for 6 foot.
Yeah. Trust me, guys. If you get a chance to go this season, get that. And you know what? Big up to the Arsenal fans, like I said. Unbelievable reception they gave him when he came off after 16 minutes. Incredible. He deserved it. I thought he's excellent. Yeah, a settled. What I want to see, boys, you might disagree, or people in the chat. I want to see us pick a settled back four.
I agree.
Give the team a basis to work from. And I do blame Arteta for that. I'm sorry. Yes, you can talk about injuries.
No. Do you know what? I do think. Oh, sorry, go on.
I think it's inevitable that this will be our first choice back four. It's inevitable. You don't spend 50 million on Ben White to then drop him. Gabriel, from what we remember from the start of the season, he had an impressive start.
Yeah,
and then
first 4 months.
After COVID, he kind of dropped off. But he is our best defender before White came in. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. Mari doesn't come close to him. Odin doesn't come close to him. I know a lot of people will point out Mari and Odin had a few clean sheets against certain teams after Gabriel was out. And I think that's just really silly, like to even look
it's too basic. It's too basic.
It's lazy assessment to then start saying Gabriel isn't good enough. I saw a lot of Arsenal fans saying that.
Kesh, you know what? No, okay, let me come in. No, I'm glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that. Because it's like people could just conveniently forgot he was player of the month first 3-4 months of the season. I'm like, are you man even watching your own football club?
Yeah.
Why are you turning on like people like Gabriel? And this is what really sort of pees me off. People like him, Pepe to a lesser degree. Because I know you guys have got your thoughts on him. Ben White, even some of this I mentioned on Arsenal Land yesterday. Some of the slander he's been getting. What is wrong with this fan base? Are you crazy?
It's ridiculous.
Brother, I saw your tweet, Kesh. I saw it because it's and I think if Ben White goes to Anfield, Liverpool, and tears it up, works along with Van Dijk or wherever, Matip or Gomez, Arsenal, man, you got to see Arsenal. That's another player you missed out on.
Can I just say, right? You know this argument, right? It goes against the fundamentals of football. Like, are you man that? But like, do you not watch football? Forget about like anything else. Like, look at Real Madrid, Barcelona, City, Liverpool. Look at these top Europeans. Like even Bayern Munich, you'll have one guy who's meant to be the dominant centre back. He's going to go in and scrap players, and then you have one player who's there to be the recovery sweeper, that pacier, more focused. I'm not saying they can't head it or they can't be dominant or they can't be aerial, but that's how they build their systems. Look at PK and Poyle, for example. Look at Varane and Ramos. Look at Joe Gomez and Van Dijk. Look at John Stones and Ruben Diaz. Like when you start to look at systems and how football is played, it's a partnership. You don't want two lumps at the back, then you might as well go support Burnley. If that's what you want, if you just want two lumps at the back, you can head a ball. Like, do you know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, I did. I'm glad. I saw that. It annoyed me anyway, Kesh. I'll be honest with the whole Ben White thing but I saw your tweet. I said no.
You know why they do it? Because they didn't get what they wanted, so now they're just gonna give shit to Ben White because but that could have got us a midfielder.
So that's part of it. That is part of it. But the problem is, and it's not just with Ben White. And I've said this before. RJ will back me up. The problem with the problem probably most. I'm going to talk about Arsenal fans because we're Arsenal fans, obviously. I question what football they watch outside of watching Arsenal, and that's the biggest part of the problem. Because if you've been following Ben White's career, you really, to be honest with you, should not have an issue with him being at Arsenal. Facts. There's no reason to have any issue with him. But sorry, let me bring. Yeah, I went for Arsenal to sneak it 1-0. I think I know. We had chances to polish off and finish off Norwich, which we did, by the way. Bloody hell, we did. But we're not at that point yet. So Burnley have got a horrendous home record, as I mentioned in the chat earlier. It's not going to be a good game to watch. It's not going to be for the purists. But I think we'll scrap it. I think we'll scrape it 1-0, which sounds crazy to me. I think we might get a clean sheet, but I think Tommy Arse is going to come up. He's going to have a good test.
That's not crazy, though, because even last season, we would have kept a clean sheet if it wasn't for the stupidness of Leonard or Xhaka, whoever you want to blame for that.
So let's just come in because people talk about the Tomiyasu and only playing Norwich, but he will get a good test on Saturday with Dwight McNeil. He's a very good footballer. He'll get a very good test. But RJ, I'm going to bring you in. I'm going to wrap up the show. You're going to finish it for me. What's your thoughts, bro? In terms, you said the scoreline in it. Sorry, go on.
Wait, so repeat that question again. My
No, I think
dialed-up
actually no, you
internet.
don't. No, you didn't. Sorry, I brought you back in, but you did actually tell me what you thought before. But we just didn't get your score line, but it was 2-0, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
It's just
No, big up. So,
we got to be
yeah,
physical.
so
That's it.
yeah, it will.
That's all I got to say.
But yeah, that back four, I want to see them play against obviously Burnley, against Tottenham, against Brighton. Give
But
them.
Albert, they will, because these are his players now. Because Cedric wasn't his signing. When you look at Chambers was just forced onto him and Bellerin was forced onto him. Tierney was the only one he didn't sign, but he wanted to keep. Gabriel he wanted to bring in, and then Ben White he fought for. So he will, and Tommy Nephew as well.
So save that. Yeah, we'll have that conversation after. I think we've got Brighton. I think
The
it's
only one I don't know is Leno to Ramsdale. That's the only one I'm not sure about.
Yeah. Put Ramsdale in 100%. But yeah, boys, you know what? We've come to the end of the show, my people. Weekly surgery is now open, but for now it's going to be shut just for tonight because we've got work and rest of the things to do tomorrow and rest of watch news at 10, all them sort of things. There are other news broadcasters out there, people. So don't think I'm neglecting them. But guys, smash the like button. Like I said, I'm following my esteemed guests on their Twitter handles. Souls, my bro, thank you for coming on, man. Where can the people find you?
Yeah, obviously, hopefully this is going to be weekly, so they can come back here. Obviously, or you can follow us on Twitter. Down, obviously, you'll find out what we're doing or what we're getting up to. Or for me, you can follow me at Gunnar Souls on YouTube and on Twitter.
Yeah, big up to Souls in the chat. We've been reunited after our Euro break. Souls are working hard to get us to Qatar, man, for that World Cup, bro.
Oh, that'll be wicked.
We'll try and get there, bro. Big up RJ, my bro. Thank you for coming on. Where can the people find you, my friend?
Well, for bad dial-up internet, you can find me on Twitter at RJ. RJ Wills on Twitter, as well as my YouTube channel, guys. Check it out, Ryan Williams ASC. And of course, hopefully, we'll get it right with the timing, guys, on here as well at Albert JT. Yeah. Thanks again, Albert. Thanks again, boys.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's like I said, this has been a while coming, but yeah, people go and subscribe to RJ. People in the chat, get your virtual waves in now because we're not going to be on live stream much longer. But and last but not least, brother King Kesh, Pastor Kesh. Where can the people find you, man?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. That is _KESH _, and also check out the Football Terrace. I'm over there most of the time.
Yes, people, go and check out a man spitting facts, man. Fire coming out of this guy's mouth when talking about football. Big up to the people in the chat. Dovsky's in there. We had Jack in there. We had who else is there? Caps is in there. There's very people there. Chat was kind of live, even for Thursday night. But people, yeah, that's the end of weekly surgery, man. Like you said, the guys are giving a shout out to their channels and their Twitter handles. And yes, that is episode 1 done, my people. As you know, my host, Albert JTV, come and subscribe to the channel. Twitter and Instagram is above on the overlay. And like I said, this will go out on to the Spotify and Anchor. So people, we are out of here. Hashtag Albert JTV. Hashtag weekly surgery. Episode 1 is done for tonight. Peace out, people.